to be humble, one has to really surrender. You see, the current of material existence is flowing very strongly toward the ocean of birth and death, ignorance. If we want to make spiritual progress, we have to swing upstream. If we just are sincere, Krishna tells in the Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupashate, that if you're just sincere to surrender in this upstream current, I will preserve whatever little you have, and whatever you lack, I will compensate. I will take you up. That is Pushti Marg. That is the path of grace. That is the basic principle of all the Vaishnava Sampradayas. That we are hopeless without grace. We can't connect to that grace and access that grace unless we humble ourselves. But sometimes the fruits of what we gain through practicing bhakti can distract us by making us proud. I'm a great devotee. And that's what happened to Indra. And Krishna organized this incredible pastime of taking all that was supposed to be offered to Indra, and it was going on for generations, and offering it to Govardhan Hill. Now for the Brijabasis, whatever makes you happy, Krishna, that's all that matters. For all of us, it's the most incredible, blissful festival that has ever been performed. And in every temple of Krishna throughout the world for the last 5,000 years, there's dancing and singing and mountains and prasad celebrating Govardhan Puja. But for Indra, it was just the medicine he needed. First of all the anarthas within his heart came out in front of everybody. This great king of heaven, who everyone thought was so cool and so self-realized and so spiritually advanced and so Atmarama, self-satisfied in so many ways. Krishna just knows exactly where the disease is. And he just went right there to that ego. And Indra lost his intelligence totally. He became like a madman. Destroy the cows, destroy the calves, destroy the peacocks, destroy the gopis and the gopas. This talkative little 7-year-old boy is disrupting my fame, my prestige, what is mine. And everyone was watching. Indra's a madman. And Krishna could have taken the form of a Virat Rupa. He could have done so many ways, but to totally crush into fine powder all the ego of Indra. Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill as a child picks up a mushroom. I have seen even 2-year-old little children pick up mushrooms. Yes, effortlessly. That's how Krishna lifted Govardhan Mountain. And then he held it. What's the weakest part of your body? Your little finger. The tip of his little finger. for 7 days and 7 nights. And Indra couldn't move a single grain of dust from the hill, couldn't remove a single leaf from a tree. And Govardhan was in ecstasy, being touched by the little finger of Krishna's left hand. He didn't even notice the storms and the lightning bolts crashing against him. And the animals on Govardhan Hill, even though the rains were pouring on it, the animals were happy and dancing around because Krishna was just energizing Giriraj so much that just being in contact with Giriraj, the animals on the mountain were happy and dancing, and they were just looking at the clouds. It was like a nice bath for them. Yes, Indra's pride was crushed. And there's a place around Govardhan Hill. We're going to skip ahead. Then we'll come back to Govindakund. Indra went Indra went back to his palace after being totally defeated. He couldn't talk to anyone. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He felt so miserable. He just made a total fool out of himself. And worse than that, he realized Krishna's my worshipable Lord, and I tried to destroy him. What a fool I am. This is the sign of a devotee. When you make a mistake, you don't try to justify it and make excuses about it. You learn from it. You become humble. Indra's a great devotee. He made a severe mistake, but Krishna transformed that mistake into a blissful 7 days where he and all the Brijabasis just performed beautiful, loving pastimes over Govardhan Hill, day and night. But Indra realized, I was so wrong. He was so repentant, but he didn't know what to do. So he went to his guru, Brihaspati. Brihaspati said, you are a fool, Indra. What did you do? There's nothing I can do for you except go to Lord Brahma. He can help you. Indra went to Lord Brahma. Brahma said, just recently, I also made some pretty serious mistakes. There's nothing I can do for you. But Surabhi, the mother of the cows, she loves Krishna with her gentle motherly affection, and Krishna loves her. If you want to be forgiven from your mistakes, you must go to those innocent, pure-hearted devotees who love Krishna. If she prays for Krishna to forgive you, then Krishna will forgive you. This is a very universal principle. Kaliya was very demoniac. He killed all the gopas. He killed Krishna's little calves, cows. He poisoned that lake near the Yamuna, and they drank it. And they died. And any bird, innocent little Brijavasi bird that flew over that lake, just the fumes of it, they fell in and died. And all the trees of Vrindavan around that lake were dying. He was really nasty, mean, horrible, demoniac person. And Krishna, he saw his little friends dead, and he glanced upon them and gave them life. That's very important. Spiritually, we are all dead. Because really, what is death? There's no such thing as death. For the body, it's always dead. It's the soul that gives life to it. And when the soul leaves the body, the soul's not dead. Vasam sijanani yata vihaya, the soul goes on to another set of clothes. And the body just the elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether just merge into the universal elements. It's just a change. Death is an experience of forgetfulness. So yes, in this material world, we have forgotten our eternal lives. We have forgotten who we really are. So from a spiritual perspective, most everyone in this world are like the living dead. But how to wake up to our true life? When Krishna casts his glance upon us, the glance of his grace, he gives us our eternal, all blissful life again. And then Krishna jumped in the lake. He started swimming around. And he was just a little boy, but he was splashing in such a way that he was making big waves. And this Kaliya, who had many hoods, was a gigantic serpent. He couldn't tolerate, who dares to enter my lake? So he came and attacked Krishna. He bit Krishna. And then he wrapped his coils around Krishna. Krishna's just a little cowherd boy. And Kali is a monstrous serpent. Now, when you walk around Govardhan at night, just when we were doing Govardhan Parikrama, my dear beloved friend Shamdasji, who has come, let us welcome him, and Radhanath-Swami Maharaj is here. Shamdasji was telling Radhanath-Swami Maharaj and myself how he and Mohanji, who is also here, our Brijabasi guru, how a black cobra crossed their path. Now, if a black cobra slithers right toward you, what is your emotion? Now, this is a cobra about this thick, maybe 2 inches thick, maybe 6 feet long. Just a little snake. But Kaliya was a monstrous serpent who had the venom of millions of cobras. And he wrapped his coil around Krishna. And all the gopas and all the calves, cows, they were looking at Krishna in that helpless situation, and all they could do was fall unconscious. And Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj started seeing all kinds of inauspicious omens, and as soon as they saw that, they were thinking, what's happening to Krishna? And they came running out, and Balaram came with them, and they saw Krishna in the coils of Kaliya. And Krishna made himself look so totally helpless. Just a sweet, innocent little child, helplessly in the coils of this monster that's breathing poison. And Yashoda Mai wanted to go in and fight against Kaliya. But the gopis had to stop her. And then Nanda Maharaj and all the others wanted to jump in and either save Krishna or die, but they couldn't tolerate seeing Krishna in this situation. But Balaram stopped them all. Balaram said, when I come as Sheshanaga, Krishna doesn't play with me like this. What is the danger of Krishna from this insignificant, tiny little water snake? That was Balaram's perception. And after putting the Brijabasis in such intense anguish of worry and concern for Krishna, increasing their bhava, increasing their love. That's why Krishna does this. Because prema, bhava, is something that is dynamic. And Krishna puts us in situations, sometimes extremely pleasing situations, and sometimes extremely painful situations. But those painful situations are ecstatic because they increase the intensity of our absorption in our love for Krishna. These Brijabasis were so absorbed in such over-flooding, uncontrollable feelings of love for Krishna, they were falling unconscious and getting up and falling unconscious and getting up and falling unconscious. And when they were on the verge of death, Krishna just expanded himself a little, slipped out of the coils, and danced on the hoods of Kaliya, one at a time. And what a beautiful dance. Krishna's Vrindavan Natabara. He's the most graceful dancer of Vrindavan. Now, some of us, we like to dance, but sometimes there's some holes in the ground, and sometimes it's an uneven surface, or sometimes it's a hard floor, and we think, how could I dance here? But Krishna, nothing could limit his beautiful dance. He was dancing on these slippery hoods of Kaliya. And even the dancing apsaras of the heavenly planets were coming down to learn how to dance from Krishna when he was dancing on Kaliya. One head after. His feet are so soft that Yashoda Mai is in anguish during the day, thinking that Krishna's soft little lotus feet, if they step on a pebble or a thorn, it will make them change colors and cause him pain. They're softer than anything in all of creation. Krishna's lotus feet are the softest of all soft things, softer than fresh butter, softer than the most tender lotus leaf, softer than a very newly formed leaf from a tamal tree. So tender. And the gopis, they are feeling that if I put Krishna's lotus feet on the very softest part of my whole body, compared to his lotus feet, it's so hard it may cause him pain. That's how his feet are to his devotees. But yeyata mam prapadyante, Krishna reveals himself according to how we approach him. To Kaliya, every time Krishna touched him with his feet, it was like a massive thunderbolt crashing against his head. To the Brijabasis and everyone else watching Krishna, he was going with his feet dancing, very sweet rhythm. I'm sorry about that. But to Kali, it was crushing him. And one of his heads, all of the poison started, he was vomiting out all the poison. I'm not going to imitate that one. And then after all the poison's out, he starts vomiting blood. Whoa, that one's not so bad. And then after he vomits all his blood, the head is just completely deflated of life, and it just falls. And then another head comes to attack Krishna, and Krishna jumps on that head and dances until all of the heads of Kaliya are devastated, crushed. And Kaliya's in a completely helpless condition. And he actually realizes that I'm finished. And for the first time in his entire life, he became humble. At that point, the Nagapatnis, the wives of Kaliya, who were great devotees of Krishna. They came with folded hands to offer prayers to Krishna. Their prayers were, our husband is such a mean, nasty, cruel person. We're your devotees, Krishna. When you were dancing on his head, we were thinking, yes, very good, let him die. Because then he'll be liberated. But now, for the first time in our lives, we're seeing that he's humble. He's actually looking at you to take shelter. So please give him your shelter. After all, he's a snake, and snakes are by nature envious like this. So he's just acting according to his nature, but by your mercy, the same beautiful, purifying lotus feet that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and the goddess of fortune are always seeking to get shelter of, the greatest sages and rishis and yogis, they are yearning and longing, sometimes lifetimes of austerity, to even get a glimpse of your lotus feet. And those same lotus feet have been dancing incessantly on the head of our husband. He's become purified. He's become humble. Please give him your mercy, my Lord. And Kaliya listened to his wives. And Krishna turned to Kaliya, and Kaliya offered prayers of surrender to Krishna. What was his refuge? It was the prayers of the Nagapatnis, the prayers of his wives who were great devotees, that actually facilitated him to be totally forgiven for all of his misdeeds. And according to the Puranas, Kaliya was given such a high position. He had to leave Vrindavan, but sometimes instead of riding Garuda, Krishna rides Kaliya. He got to be Krishna's servant, eternal servant. In the story of Jagai and Madhai, they were murderers, thieves, they were burning houses, they were raping women, they were drunkards, they were slaughtering animals and drinking their blood and eating them. They were doing all kinds of things. They had no respect for anyone. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was standing before them with his Sudarshan chakra about to sever their heads. And Lord Nityananda, who they just tried to beat to death, Lord Nityananda prayed to Lord Chaitanya, please, spare them. In other incarnations, we came to kill demons. But as Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, we have not come to kill any demons. We have come to kill the demoniac tendencies in people and give them prema bhakti. By Nityananda's prayers, Jagai and Madhai were given Krishna Prem, the highest perfection of life, where they could lovingly experience the spiritual world while chanting the holy names. Lord Brahma has been around from the beginning, and he'll be around till the end of the universe. He knows. And he told Indra, Surabhi, Krishna loves her, and she loves Krishna. If she prays for you, then Krishna will forgive you. This is an eternal principle. Srila Prabhupada, he would tell us that Srimati Radharani is not only the eternal loving consort of Krishna, his pleasure potency, Hladini Shakti, but she's the mother, the loving mother of all living beings. And if we take shelter of Sri Radha in her motherly nature, by being the servant of her servants, with a sincere intent to improve ourselves and to please those who she loves, then Sri Radha will approach Krishna and say, please forgive this devotee for whatever he or she has done, and please accept this devotee as your own loving servant. Give this devotee your love. And Krishna must, he must accept the will of Sri Radha. Srila Prabhupada asked us, or we asked him, what was our qualification for understanding the Leelas of Vrindavan? He said, you have no qualifications. He said, with all humility, he said, I made your qualifications. Because when we become the servant of the servant of the servant, Sri Radharani appeals for us, and Krishna must accept. This is the motherly aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we approach. When we chant this Maha Mantra, Hare is a call for Sri Radha, Hara. Krishna is Hari, who steals away all of the inauspiciousness from our hearts and then steals our hearts. Through the path of bhakti, the sour yogurt of our consciousness is churned. Through our sadhana, through our seva, it's churned into sweet butter. And then Hari, Makanchor, steals our hearts. But Sri Radha's Hare, because she steals the heart of Krishna through her love. So first we approach Sri Radha, and when she is pleased, then Krishna naturally, spontaneously accepts us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this principle Brahma understood. So here is Indra, the king of heaven, coming to this mother cow, begging for her mercy. And Mother Cow says, of course I will help you. Let's go to Brajbhumi. And there's a place called Surabhi Kund. We stopped for a few minutes there. I really wanted to speak, but I had a very sore throat. And I really wanted Radhanath-Swami Maharaj, my very, very beloved senior godbrother, to speak. But he was just so totally immersed and absorbed in some bhava of bhakti that he didn't speak. So Vishwarup, he spoke so nicely. But it was there at Surabhi Kund that Surabhi approached Krishna. She told Indra, you stay and let me speak to Krishna. And with such sincere, loving heart of compassion to Indra, she knew what Indra tried to do to all of her children, the cows. She knew what Krishna tried to do, what Indra tried to do to her beloved Lord, Krishna. But still, even though it was a very personal thing for her, what Indra tried to do to her beloved Lord, to her beloved descendants, the cows and the bulls and the calves, and to all of the devotees who she worships, like Nanda and Yashoda. But when she saw that Indra was repentant, with her heart, she appealed to Krishna to accept him. And Krishna accepted him. If a fallen soul thinks that we can approach Krishna directly, it's very difficult. Because really, there's so many walls of ego between us and Krishna that we don't even... The less we know about this ego is the evidence that there's more. Yes? When you're in total darkness, you don't see all the walls in front of you. As the light comes, you see more and more. There's so many walls. Indra realized, by the grace of Surabhi and Krishna, the light had shone, and he realized what he had done. So we must go through Krishna's devotees to receive his grace. And then the doors to the highest liberation open. And then Krishna came and offered his prayers to Krishna. And Krishna listened. 7-year-old little boy. He told Indra, don't do these things again. How many times? Indra wanted the whole universe to know that Krishna is my Lord. I am his humble servant. We want to perform the Abhishekam. And Surabhi said, we don't care about any other Indra but you, Krishna. You are our Indra. And it was at Govinda Kund that it was the official statement to the whole universe that Krishna is the supreme Lord of all lords. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Vayu, Varuna, Agni, Yamaraj, Kuvera, and everyone else, the Apsaras, the Gandharvas, the various sages and the rishis and the wives of the sages and the rishis, they came with gifts to offer to Krishna. Surabhi, with her own milk and the milk of the Surabhi cow, she performed the Abhishekam of bathing Krishna. And Airavata, the white elephant carrier of Indra, brought water from the Akash Ganga, the Ganga of the heavenly worlds, and bathed Krishna with that. There were 108 kunds from 108 prominent devatas with that water that washed Krishna around Govardhan Hill. Some of them are still there today. And they had beautiful arti and beautiful thrones, and Krishna was coronated as Govinda. His eternal name in the spiritual world of Goloka descended through a divine voice, proclaiming that Krishna is Govinda, one who gives the highest pleasure to the senses, to the cows, and to Mother Earth. And one who engages their senses in the loving service of Krishna. Sarvapadi viniramutam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktirutam. By just engaging our senses in the service of the supreme Lord of the senses, Rishikesh, we become completely purified. This was one of the greatest historical moments in the history of all time. And the water that collected from that Abhishekam is Govinda Kund. And as all the devatas left the little cowherd boys, they came and saw all this paraphernalia, and they just had fun. They put Balaram on the throne next to Krishna, and they started offering artis and fanning him with heavenly chamaras, and they were having such fun. They were joking with Krishna. They didn't see him as God. They just saw him as a friend, and all this, they're little cowherd boys, and all this heavenly paraphernalia for worships all over the place. So for them, it was just play. And when the demigods looked and saw how the gopas were playing with Krishna, the intimacy, the sweetness of their love, the devatas and the sages and the rishis realized, in comparison, we have no love at all. This is Vrindavan. And then Nanda and Yashoda came. And they offer the arti to Krishna in Vatsalya Ras, loving parental affection. That is Govinda Kund. And it's in the banks of Govinda Kund, according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Madhavendra Puri was approached by a little cowherd boy and brought him some milk. He said, in this village of mine, Krishna was in disguise. He said, nobody goes hungry. Some people, they beg for food and we supply them food. Some people are so humble they don't even beg like you, so I've personally come to supply it. Because some of the neighboring ladies, these Brijabasis, were at a well close by. They were coming to Govinda Kund even to collect water, and they told me that you've been sitting here just chanting all day long without eating anything, so I've come to give you some milk. I'll come back to collect the pot. He drank the milk, and when he drank the milk, he became very intoxicated. It was very special milk. Not intoxicated like people like to get intoxicated. Intoxicated with love, with gratitude, with devotion. And then he chanted, and that little boy came back and revealed to him the deity of Gopal on the banks of Govinda Kund. And Shamdas Ji, from the literatures of the Sri Sampradaya, beautiful, beautiful stories of how Srinathji appeared. Srinathji is inconceivable, unlimited, and incredible, and can appear to many people in many ways. Especially his very, very great, empowered expansions and devotees. Not far from Govinda Kund is Chandra Sarovar. During the springtime, Krishna performs his Ras Leela with Sri Radha and the Sakis and the Manjaris and the Gopis at Govardhan Hill. During the autumn season of Kartik, the Ras Leela is in the Vrindavan area of Bamsivat. And during the spring season, at Govardhan. This Chandra Sarovar and many of the other Leelas and caves and kunds here and Sarovars of Govardhan are the intimate places where Krishna has the most loving exchanges with his gopis. And since Krishna appeared in the dynasty of Chandra, the moon, when the full moon rose, in order to facilitate Krishna and the gopis' loving Leela, through his rays filled Chandra Sarovar with nectar. The nectar of whose fragrance and taste was there simply to facilitate deeper, more pleasing experience of Ras Leela. as Chandra, through his moonlight, through his nectar, participated, Krishna left Sri Radha and gopis and was hiding from them. Sambhog and Vipralamba, the dynamics of prem or love. That when there's the meeting, it intensifies the experience of the love, the prem. And in separation, it only intensifies it more. And in that separation, when there's again meeting, it intensifies it. So this Sambhog and Vipralamba, the two are constantly in Vrindavan harmonizing each other to heighten the experience of the ananda, the ecstasy of Krishna and all of the devotees. So Krishna was hiding, and the gopis were searching for him, and they found him. They saw him. He was sitting near Paita under a tree, and Krishna, he was right there. So as they was running toward him, he manifested his form of four-armed Narayan. And the gopis, seeing that it was Narayan, the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of all lords, who's the source of everything that exists, who is the controller of all controllers, they were disappointed, because you can't have Ras Leela with Narayan. Did you ever see any paintings of girls dancing with four-armed Narayan? It's not his bhava. So the gopis, they bowed down to Lord Narayan. They bowed down, and Narayan said, I will give you whatever blessing you want. What blessing do you want? Because he's Varadraj. He's the giver of blessings. They said, there's only one blessing we wish from you. Please tell us which way Krishna went. So Narayan, with his four hands, he went this way. So gopis ran that way, looking for Krishna. They didn't care anything for Narayan, because this Aishwarya Bhav, the bhava of loving God because of his supreme, majestic, controlling, ruling power of the source of all universes, the king of all spiritual worlds. From the perspective of Vrindavan Bhakti, it cripples the relationship. In Vrindavan, Raghunath Goswami writes that Krishna is pleased when saints and pure devotees are chanting hymns in glorification of the Supreme Lord from the Vedas. But Krishna feels 10 million times more pleasure than hearing the Vedic hymns chanted by completely pure-hearted, saintly rishis and devas. 10 million times more when the Brijabasi ladies chastise him with harsh words. That is Vrindavan. This is the secret of the highest, most intimate revelations of all the great scriptures of the world. So the gopis know who Narayan is. They love him as the Supreme Lord. But their only real desire is to give pleasure to Krishna, who's their lover and their friend. So they ran looking for Krishna. And then Sri Radharani came, and she asked Narayan, he said, "What blessing would you like?" And she said, "Please tell me where Krishna is." And looking at Sri Radharani and feeling the love of her heart, Krishna is conquered by love. Krishna tried to maintain that disguise, but in the presence of Srimati Radharani, two of his arms, with the conch shell and the lotus and the club and the chakra, they just melted away. And his flute appeared in his hands. Conquered by Sri Radha's love. And then he continued the beautiful Ras Leela in Govardhan Hill in the moonlit nights.